Hello and welcome to the Crystal Vision podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies and energetics of business, money, and mindset mastery so as to create the next generation of wildly wealthy women. My name is Olivia Clare and I'm a serial entrepreneur who is obsessed with giving you all of the tools that you need to create your crystal clear vision of success. Each week, you will hone in on your unique zone of genius and embody the highest version of yourself to reverse engineer your way to your dream life. If you're ready to let go of the hustle and effortlessly call in more money, more growth, and more fulfillment, stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Crystal Vision podcast. We are joined by wedding and family photographer based in Arizona, Rhodes Blake, who shares with us how she got started in photography, how she made it into a business, and what her art has taught her about online marketing. Without further ado, here is Rhodes Blake. Hi, Rhodes. Welcome to the Crystal Vision podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm a little sleepy. It's Friday afternoon. We just spoke about that off camera. It's Thursday night where Rhodes is and Friday afternoon where I am. So we're both just holding out for Saturday pretty much. But other than that, it's been a good, productive week. Ready to watch a movie tonight, maybe have some popcorn or something. So yes, but I want to talk about you. And I'm so excited to have a whole list of questions ready to go. I want to dive deep with you and learn more about you, more about your business, and how you really got to where you are today. And so I'm so excited. You are a photographer based in Coolidge, Arizona. Did I say that right? Coolidge?
Yes, Coolidge, Arizona. Perfect.
Yes. And what I love about photography and photography businesses especially is that so often they are born out of pure passion. You know, it's not often you hear someone deciding, when I grow up, I'm going to be a photographer, or I really want to be a photographer because that's what's going to make me a ton of money and I can buy a mansion and a really fast car. Usually you start, she's laughing, so she gets exactly what I mean. Yeah. Usually you start out that as something that's really a passion project. So I guess when did you really start being interested in photography?
Yeah, so for me, it happened by mistake.
I
Yeah,
love that.
so it was a few years ago. My one of my closest cousins, she was pregnant, and then she says, "Hey, I want to do maternity pictures," and I was just like, "Okay, well, I have my phone, so we can do that."
Let's do
And then so I
it.
came up, yeah, and I came up with a lot of ideas for her, and she wanted to do like a milk bath and things like that. So I was just like, okay. So I went on Pinterest and I did I planned everything out for her. And then we met up at one of my other cousins' house. And then I just started taking pictures on my phone for her. And then after that, I went home and I edited them and then I sent it to her. She was just like, wow, I loved it. And then prior to me being starting my photography business, I had a online boutique, and it was like kind of like a nonprofit.
Mm.
And I used to pretty much make all my cousins, family members, and then close friends be my model for the clothes. So I'll take them to different location and I'll take pictures of them and then edit it and stuff like that. So I've just been doing that. And then I had like other friends that wanted to take pictures, and I've just been doing it on my phone. And then, long story short, a few years ago for my birthday, I told my husband, I was just like, I think I want a camera for my birthday. And then from there,
Oh,
and then yeah.
wow. I love it. When did you decide that you wanted to make a business out of it?
I decided when a lot of people just started asking me to, and then I started
Mm.
seeing like how much I really truly like love doing it, and it brought me so much joy. And it's kind of like you never know, like everything was different. It wasn't repetitive, because you can take every picture is different because you literally are capturing, you're freezing time. So not every photograph is the same. So I love, so it's kind of like art. I love when I take a picture and then when I put it on my editing software and then just creating something different, either black and white or bold or colors, changing things. So I love it because you just never know what you're going to get. And
Yeah.
then from
Oh, you're
there,
making me want to. You're making me want to buy a camera and start doing it. I'm like, oh, so poetic, but keep
Yeah.
going.
No, I love it. And then from there, I was just like, wow, I think I want to do this, like actually for real, for real. And then my husband, he's always joking because he was just like, you had to pick like the most expensive thing because cameras and lenses, they're super fragile and they're super expensive. So you have to kind of like treat them like a newborn baby every single time because you can easily break one. So from there, I was just like, wow, like I want to like do this as a business. And because I already had like a small business as far as like the online boutique, and I was just like, okay, I can do this. But then photography, service-based business, it's like a completely different area and lane that I was stepping into. So it was kind of like I had like the basic fundamentals of like a small business, but then I had to like relearn and reteach myself everything all over again because it was completely different lane of businesses.
Mm, interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why was it so different from having an online boutique? Because we may have some people listening who are thinking about doing a service-based business, and I've tried everything while I was trying to figure it out what I was going to do with my life. And I did e-commerce and I tried selling different types of products. So if someone's listening to this and they don't really, maybe they're doing physical products at the moment but want to move to service-based stuff, I guess what advice would you give them, or what was your experience in that transition?
First, it's different because for product, it's like, okay, if you want to buy a t-shirt, because I did clothing, right? And shoes and stuff like that. If you want to buy a t-shirt's just a t-shirt, so whatever, when you go online, hopefully the person that has the t-shirt's the right color design. So when you get it, it's actually the exact product that you ordered. It's a blue t-shirt. When you get it, it's going to be a blue t-shirt. But when it comes
Yeah.
to service based, especially with photography, like you're actually dealing with people's emotions and feelings. And sometimes that can be hard because I can take a picture of you and I absolutely love it, and I think you look absolutely beautiful, but you may get it and you may hate it. So it's like dealing with people's when it comes to how people view themselves. Because a lot of time, if you even think about your own self, you can take a million selfie and you hate, you hate every single one of them. So when it comes to photography, a lot of time it's like you're trying to capture somebody's look. You also want them to look absolutely their best, but at the same time you just never know what the person may feel when they're looking at the picture, because they may look at it as soon as you send it and then they hate it, and then 3 days later, because of what they're dealing with personally, so it can vary, it can change. And especially if you're thinking about you're taking a picture of somebody's kids, or their wedding day. So sometimes it's like playing Russian roulette, because you just never know um, how that person is going to react when you send them the picture. They may love it, they may hate it, or they may want you to change something, or they may not, like how they look and things like that. So so I would definitely let somebody know, definitely like learn your client and learn what they love about themselves and some things that they may not like, or kind of like what do they want, so you can be ready when you go take the picture, so you can kind of know everything and how to pose them, how to edit and things like that. And I usually I'm very transparent with my clients, so it's kind of like, and also consistency is key, because when they go on your page, they're gonna book you based on how you edit. And there's different photographers out there. There's light and airy, which is bright colors, and there's dark and moody. There's boho. So when they go and they book you based on your style, and then you send them something completely different, then they may not like it. So it's like consistency, and also over time you build the tough skin because you're dealing again with people's emotions, and it's kind of like you never know.
Wow, you've raised such an interesting point and such an important point, because when you think of photography business, you think you take photos and that's it. But when you're dealing with people's, self-image or body image and, like you said, emotions, whether it might come to their children or their wedding day, all of a sudden you're dealing with a lot more than just taking a photo. So I love that you brought up that point, and we can experience that. I'm sure everyone to some degree has thought, okay, why am I having to therapize with my client right now? I did not train to be a psychologist, so why are we getting deep into this, or why do I need to coach them? But it's an important skill that can help you when you're dealing with people, right? Because this is just humans being human. I love that. I do want to go back to what you said earlier, though, when you said that this kind of happened by accident, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time, particularly in the business world, like I did, trying many different things and not asking themselves, what is currently working? What are people already asking me to do? Or what have people always asked me to do? And for you, it's so natural and easy when you just let business be what sort of attracts to you, if that makes sense. I have this philosophy that sometimes you choose a business and sometimes business chooses you. And from the way you described it, it's like inspiration came and it said, Rhodes, you're the one. We're doing photography together. Let's go. So I absolutely love that perspective. What is the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome, potentially in this transition or just in this business in general? And how did you do it?
Yeah. It's and I'm still learning that, and it's kind of like becoming like my brand, if that makes sense. So because it's different, because as a service-based business, when I had my boutique and nonprofit, and it's crazy because I love, like, me and my husband, and that's how we met. We met volunteering at a foster kids camp, and I love giving back and things like that, and I love it. So I thought when I decided to open my boutique and to give back to the community, I was just like, oh, this is me. Like, I love doing that, but I didn't realize that I when it comes to fashion, I absolutely hate it. Like, I'm not like a fashionista. I literally wear leggings and sweats and t-shirt around my hair. That's it.
I
That's
love it.
me. So I was thinking like, wow, like I love to give back, but that wasn't necessarily, I just thought because I love doing this, then having a boutique just makes sense. But when it comes to photography, it's literally discovering my brand and making that becoming me. Because I feel like when it came to like products and having a boutique, there was two separate entity in a sense. There was me running that. But when it comes to photography, I represent like my brand. And technically you represent your brand if you have a business, but it's different with photography because especially in a small town, when they see me and me kind of like transitioning, and also in photography, it's kind of like figuring out your voice. And what I mean by branding, not just like your colors and your font and things like that, but like figuring out your voice and figuring like, because you can do anything photography, landscape, animals, newborn and things like that, but figuring out like your voice and figuring like your editing style and figuring like things that you won't allow or you will allow, because like I said, again, it's dealing with people's self-image. So a lot of time people may try to take advantage of you and things like that, and also figuring out your price, your worth. So it's kind of like learning that again, and it was very different from what I'm used to. And also because it just kind of happened, I didn't plan it. So it's kind of like, okay, so figuring out mentor and teaching myself and everything that I've learned. And so it was just kind of like figuring, becoming that in a sense, and like the brand and discovering. And so I'm still learning, I'm still growing, but I love it. But again, like they say, right? If you do something you love, you'll never work again. Even though now when you're a small business, you work. you work 10 times harder and longer.
It's so true. Oh my God. How does that happen? But no, it's true. I think sometimes that's a bit of a success secret as well in business is just do something that you love, something that you're good at, and something that people come to you for. All of a sudden, you'll have clients you won't have to worry again when you keep trying to force and force and force something that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, I think with products, it can be easier sometimes to go, okay, well, here are my margins, here are my expenses, here's how much profit I'm making per product. And then with something like a service-based business, especially photography, people think, cool, you took the photo, you know, that's your time, your rate per hour for the photo taking, that's it. But they don't take into account scheduling, location, driving to the location, editing, having approvals. There's so much, and you can bill it, but I think that's something that gets forgotten about a lot with service-based work is the unbillable hours that can sometimes add up really, really quickly. So pricing your package is tricky. It's tricky stuff, but you've got to, yeah. I'm really curious because you were talking about your brand and finding your voice in photography. So, out of my own personal interest, have you feel like you've figured out, I guess, what's your favorite thing to shoot at the moment or edit or be involved in terms of photography?
Honestly, I love it's okay. So in the photography world, people always tell me like, oh, you need to niche down, you need to figure out what you like and stick with it. But for me, I've always been kind of rebel in a sense when it comes to things. I'm like, I want to just try everything because for me, I always tell people like when you're trying something new, try everything because something that you may not think that you like will surprise you. And I always use this when it comes to like brides and if when they first get engaged and they're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm like, me too. Like every single time I do a wedding, I feel like I'm getting married. I get super excited. I'm
Oh, that's fun.
like,
That's
oh,
so
we're
fun.
getting married. But I usually always kind of like the example I usually use with the brides, and they're like, for the most part, you know what you like. You kind of have an idea with the style. And I usually tell my brides, like, hey, when you go wedding dress shopping, try anything because you may not think you like this lace dress, but as soon as you put it on, you're like, wow, like this is it. You know? So but with photography, or any service based or a small business, I was just like, hey, try it. I tried. If I never went into the boutique world and saying like, you know what, I'm not a fashion person, I'm not gonna try it, I would have never discovered my love for photography. It was because the boutique was a failure, so it was in my failure that I discovered my success. Like
Yes. Oh, such an important point there.
yeah,
Yes.
so it's just like
It's the only way.
yeah, you never know, through the hardship, that's when you find joy and you'll discover that. So I love doing weddings. I absolutely love doing weddings, and I love doing families and maternity. Like those are like my babies. I love doing newborns as well, but no, newborns is really, you have to be really patient. And I always pray, I'm like, God, give me more patience. And I'm like, oh, here's a newborn second. What? But within that though, like every type of session has like their own flow. So it's kind of like, and that's what I mean by like you have to take that time to discover it because you can't run a wedding like you run a maternity session. One, you're gonna be there all day.
Mm.
A maternity, and then at the same time, a maternity session, you have to plan on breaks because the mama's pregnant and then you just never know what's going to happen that day. Are they feeling good? Especially with their self-image, and can they walk a long time? So you have to think about the location and where is it going to be? Does she have to walk a lot? Because she's pregnant, and then also breaks, and then also like her makeup and her hair. So it's like every session you have to um, think about it something, you have to think about it differently and plan it differently according to the session and according to that individual person as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's such great advice. Just keep trying things until something sticks, really. That's the best, that's the only way you're ever going to know whether you enjoy it or not. So I back that 100%. What is something that you've learned about in photography that applies to the business world?
Man, I think I'm trying to think of something like specific, but in general, in the business world, everything about like photography applies, but I would say a main one will just be like evolving, because in the business world, you always have to evolve because 20 years ago looks different than today. And if you think about photography, back when I was in school, we had the rooms, you have to like literally with your pictures and stuff like that, the red room. And then now with a click of a button, you can print your images and or even Polaroid, you just within 3 minutes, right then and there. So with photography, it's always evolving, it's always changing, and it's changing for the better, but then at the same time you can also keep it old school if you want to, if you like the filmy way. So so and also it's figuring like who you are and what you like, and so with business is always changing, especially marketing. Marketing is not what it is used to be 20 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, when and I feel like yeah, and I feel like for me, one thing that I've learned in photography, that I'm still learning and that applies to business and every day is always have an attitude of a student. Because once you think you've arrived, you've lost. Because when you think like, oh, I finally made it, you would never once you think you've arrived, you never have room for growth, if that makes sense. With photography, I'm always developing my skills. I'm always learning a new skills, and I'm always trying to be better, not only for me, but also to serve my clients well, because I want to give them the best experience. And I always tell, if I'm when I'm having like, talks and stuff like that about business, I'm always telling myself like, I want my clients to feel like when they think of a song, or like when you think about a song from like from the early 2000, and it brings you back that memory, that good memory, or you hanging out with your friends or like whatever. But like I want my clients to look back when they think about our session or when they look at their pictures. I want to be like, oh my gosh, like we had so much fun with a photographer and things like that. So long story short, like when it comes to like photography, because when you think about a picture, back in the day, like a picture, yes, you capture it and you freeze that moment, but it takes time to develop. Now it can develop within like 5 seconds, but it still takes the time to develop. But now it's faster. But with business, you have to give yourself grace and you have to take that time to develop your skills and always developing your skills because things are always changing around you.
That is so powerful. Oh, I'm so glad I asked you that question. That was like a little gold mine of wisdom that just came out of you. I love it. What's a common myth about your job that you'd love to dispel right here, right now?
That all we do is push a button.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe anyone would think it's just pushing a button.
Yeah, there's like all you do is just stand there.
How do you not like tear out your hair when someone says that? Oh, that'd make me so angry.
And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then you do it. Like, go ahead, just
Yeah.
let's compare the two.
I mean, we've gotten into just a little bit about all the, the editing and the location you spoke about. We haven't even talked about lighting or positioning someone, styling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the actual business part of it too,
Yes,
like dealing with your leads and trying to grow. And oh my goodness. Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. And everyone now listening knows never to ever, ever say that to a photographer ever.
exactly.
I love it. Okay, Rhodes, I want to talk about you now. So, what is it that you are currently passionate about, whether it is in business or in life?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm like trying to think of something new that I'm passionate about. I mean, I love desserts, so that's always a thing that I'll forever be passionate about. But let's see. Oh, I discovered. So I live in a small town, and they have like an ice cream shop, and it's a I forgot what I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's a Mexican ice cream shop, and they have yeah, and then they have one other ice cream, and I'm a type of person where like I if I like something, I stick with it. I don't like trying new things. I know what I want. I always get it every single time. And so when I went there and I was just like, is that? And I'm looking at the ice cream, I was like, is that corn? And then they're like, yeah. I was just like, huh, interesting. So I'm like, ice cream with corn? And I was just like, is it real corn? Like actual corn? And he was just like, and the owner was just like, yeah. And I tasted, I loved it. I every single time I go there, yeah, it's delicious. So it's absolutely so
Is it
I
just normal, like cooked corn?
yeah,
I'm
it's
just
just
trying to imagine the texture.
yeah, and you can literally see the corn and you can taste it, and it tastes like corn, but like a dessert, like better. And it's ice cream. It's the most. I was just like, huh, yeah. I was just like, I'm gonna try that with my toddler. I'm just gonna make broccoli ice cream.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. Oh, what a good idea. Wow. I'm going to look, I can't bring myself to try that, but I want to learn more about it. I can imagine it'd be kind of like creamy and salty and like a bit of texture.
It is, and that's what I'm saying. Like I would have never thought, but if you find it, at least try it. It
Okay.
may change your world.
It may, and I might get it every time. I'm a very boring like vanilla or rainbow or caramel girl at the moment.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. Cake batter. That's it. Yeah.
But we might add some corn in and see what magic we can create. Wow, so interesting. Um, what are you currently working on?
So I'm currently working on changing my website. So I'm changing my platform for my website. And like I said, evolving, right? So when I started, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna do like a basic website, which is for when you're first starting as a photographer, everybody goes to like Pixie Set. And Pixie Set is like where you can like deliver your galleries and just kind of like the basic one, you know. So I was transitioned to more a complicated that has to do with like SEOs and things like that for your business. So now I'm trying to like brace myself for like the transitioning every single picture that I've ever taken and uploading it and then doing my SEO stuff. So it's just like I want to do it, but it's just trying to like prepare myself for
It's a
that.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot. That is a lot to work on. I'm doing a website. I've got a team. I'm so lucky. I have a team helping me do my website and SEO, but it's exhausting. And I can't even imagine having to download like the photos, the high resolution as well. It takes so long. So you're just sitting there like waiting for it to upload. But you can do it. The end result will be so worth it.
But the thing is, like with photography, and that's what people don't understand because, like, every picture I don't know for like other businesses as well, but like every picture you have to have like a meta description or tag. So if I took a picture on the beach, so I have to put like, oh, picture on the beach in Coolidge, Arizona, or like, so I have to like give every single picture a title, and I have over like 50, so it's just like,
Oh,
ah,
no.
but
Painstaking.
it's gonna
But
be fun.
It's impressive. And yeah, end result will be worth it. And it's just that
Yes,
evolving
yes.
piece, like you said. And SEO will be great because it means more people can find you. So that's
Exactly.
exciting. Yeah. Final question. What is your crystal vision for the future?
My crystal vision would honestly be just being able, I guess I want to travel more, like with my photography, do a lot more elopements. Um, yeah, do a lot more elopement. Yeah. So I think that will be it. Do a lot more elopement and then trying new things with my clients. I love when my clients just kind of giving me like free range to do and to like style them, pick the location and things like that. So I love doing that. So my crystal will just be, of course, more clients, doing more weddings and things like that. But being because one thing, like, and I know a lot of small business owners struggle with it, is just doubt, you know and and a part of me love having doubts because it keeps me humble, because I never want to think like, oh, I've done this before, I got it, and then mess up. But like I always have doubts, but not in a way like I can't do my job, but in a way to where, like, one, I'm super humble and thankful that they chose me out of everybody that they can, out of every other amazing photographers that are out there, so that I don't want to let them down. And then two, I always want to be humble to the part where, like, I'm teachable, and to where I'm not, oh, I got this, I could do it. I don't have to pay attention to the weather. And things like that. So my crystal vision will be like, of course, doing more traveling and things like that, but also making sure I stay in a posture of gratitude and humbleness, to where I never want to think more of what I am, if that makes sense. And also be be humble enough to either ask for help, be humble enough to, and also um pave the way for upcoming photographers, kind of like, hey, I made this mistake, don't do it. Go this route.
I love that. And I think from our conversation and what I've learned, I think growth is very, very important to you. So I think allowing yourself to stay humble means continuing to ask questions and continuing to have space for growth. So I absolutely love that. That is a beautiful vision for the future. Is there anything you want to get off your chest or anything I didn't ask you that you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, one thing, like, I want to share, and that I think is important, just in life in general, and especially when it comes to like business, is comparison. Because we always, and we're women, especially if we're women, but just in general, we're human, we want to, and one thing that I even like write it in mirrors, and I have little sticky notes, because sometimes, and especially if you're just starting as a photographer, you can look at somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, 15 years, that's traveling the world, that's been to so many places. And then you can look at their middle or their end, and you can compare it to you just starting just yesterday. And then you can say, oh, I'm not good enough. And then stop yourself from becoming great, when if you look back at that person's beginning, they were right there where you were. So it's kind of like that, that I always want to remind myself not to compare myself, because we all have, like, I want to say idols, but we always have people say, oh, I want to be like you when I grow up, or, things like that, or I want to be there, or I want to have a million followers, you know, and sometimes I'm always so careful not to ask, um, not to pray about or trying to compare myself and not to say, oh, I want to be like this person or I want to have this many followers or I want to make this much money. But at the same time, you never know what that person has sacrificed or what they had to go through to get there because you may not want to do that. You know, so that's one of the things I always want to keep in the back of.
Yeah. You can only see so much from and social media, as we know, especially really it's a highlight reel. So we don't see the hours that people are putting in behind the scenes or, exactly like you said, sacrifices that they're making with friends or family or just living life that we may not prioritize as much. So, what a beautiful note to end on. Tell us, where can people find you? Where can people book your services and keep up to date with all it is that you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. So, yeah, I'm on I'm thinking pretty much on all social media platforms. Which sometimes that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. But I'm on Instagram, which is Rhodes Blake.
I think it's good.
Right. Which is Rhodes Blake Photography.com. I mean, photography. And of course, my website, Rhodes Blake Photography. .com, and then I'm on Facebook and also TikTok as well. So I'm pretty much on. So if you just put Rhodes Blake and if you spell Rhodes right, I should come up.
Yes, I love it. All the links will be in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Rhodes, for answering all my questions and just being really vulnerable and sharing your story with us and everything that you've learned. I know I got a lot of value out of our conversation, so I can only imagine anyone else listening is walking away feeling a little bit lighter than maybe when they started listening. So thank you.
Me too. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so honored and grateful and I'm excited. Thank you so much, Olivia. You're awesome.
No worries. Thank you everyone to listening to this show, and I will see you next week.